Ottawa's skateway is closing to protect thinning ice. BC is moving to cut thousands of public sector jobs, and overseas, the US and Canada are now openly using the words regime change about Iran. Later in the brief, the key payoff, why hardline rhetoric and back-channel talks are happening at the same time, and what to watch for next. In Ottawa today, it's cloudy, with a high near -2 degrees Celsius. And a quick local heads up if the Rideau Canal is part of your routine. The NCC says the skateway is temporarily closing to preserve the ice ahead of warmer weather. This isn't being framed as the end of the season. Crews want time to protect and smooth the surface, with reopening tied to conditions. This is the 56th season. The canal opened December 31st, and the NCC says there have been 41 skating days so far, with more than 785,000 visits. Staying with winter safety for a moment, Toronto police are again warning people to stay off frozen water after a 15-year-old fell through ice at Harbourfront and was pulled to safety by a bystander. Police say they're deploying resources to clear people off the ice, but reports described many returning even as officers spoke to media. The broader point is simple. Even when ice looks solid from a distance, conditions can be uneven, especially near areas where boats or currents break it up. Now a fast national item with real budget stakes. British Columbia's 2026 budget is projecting record deficits, raising some taxes, and planning to eliminate 15,000 public sector positions over 3 years. The province says it will try to achieve that mostly through attrition and voluntary departures, and that it won't target frontline services, while still acknowledging delays or pauses to some projects and programs. The numbers are large, a projected $13.3 billion deficit in 2026-27, and net debt expected to rise sharply over the next 3 years. Reaction is split. Labor groups see investment signals but worry about service pressure. Business and seniors advocates are criticizing higher taxes and debt. Turning now to the main thread, Iran, and why Canada and the US are suddenly speaking more plainly about political change in Tehran. What's happening is a mix of pressure and positioning. In the US, President Donald Trump said regime change in Iran seems like that would be the best thing that could happen, as the Pentagon sends a second aircraft carrier to the region. At the same time, reporting says the US is still pursuing diplomacy through intermediaries. Reuters cited a source saying US envoys were scheduled to meet Iranian representatives in Geneva, with Oman acting as mediator. In Canada, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand told the Globe and Mail that Ottawa will not restore diplomatic relations with Iran until there is regime change. Global Affairs Canada also framed Canada's stance around Iran's treatment of its population, saying Canada won't restore ties while the Iranian government brutalizes its people and denies legitimate aspirations. Ottawa has added another round of sanctions, its 23rd since 2022, targeting Iranian officials. Here's the key point. The rhetoric is escalating publicly at the same time that channels for negotiation are reportedly still active. That's not unusual in high-stakes diplomacy. Governments often keep talking, quietly, while increasing military readiness and sanctions to shape leverage, reassure allies, and deter actions they're trying to prevent. Why it matters now is timing and scope. The Trump administration is signaling it wants any nuclear-related negotiations to cover more than nuclear activity. Also, Iran's ballistic missiles, its support for armed groups in the region, and its treatment of the Iranian people. Iran, for its part, has indicated it's prepared to discuss curbs on its nuclear program in exchange for lifting sanctions, but it has ruled out tying nuclear talks to its missile program. That gap, what's in the negotiation package and what isn't, is usually where talks either narrow into a workable deal or stall out. And there's a second layer to the Geneva reporting. The same Reuters source said those U.S. envoys would also meet officials from Russia and Ukraine the same day. If that's accurate, it suggests the U.S. is trying to run multiple diplomatic tracks through the same venue and intermediaries, potentially efficient, but also a sign of how compressed and interconnected these files have become. The risk here is miscalculation. When military assets move closer and public language hardens, the chance of accidents, or of one side interpreting the other's signals as preparation for imminent action, tends to rise. The stabilizing counterweight is that reported mediation is still happening, and the basic outlines of what each side says it wants are clearer than they've been in some past standoffs, even if they don't align. A quick related Canadian security note to keep in the background. Ottawa has now joined the European Union's SAFE program, which offers low-interest loans for joint procurement of military equipment and opens some European defense markets to Canadian firms. It's one more sign that Canada is widening its defense industrial options alongside allies as global security risks shift. Before we wrap, one more Ottawa area item. The Public Health Agency of Canada says a national security concern at an emergency stockpile warehouse in 2024 was not connected to an operational error that resulted in the loss of about $20 million in pharmaceutical products after a freezer door came open. PHAC is correcting earlier testimony that left the relationship between those issues unclear. Now, the final piece to watch on Iran, whether the reported Geneva contacts actually occur as planned, and whether any public readout hints at a narrower agenda, something both sides can live with, rather than an all-in-one negotiation that collapses under its own weight. Also watch for timelines around sanctions. New measures tend to change incentives quickly, but they can also harden positions if either side needs to show resolve at home. That's the brief for Wednesday, February 18. Thanks for listening. Stay steady, and I'll be watching what changes first, the language, the posture, or the talks.